Hi, and welcome back to Between the Benches, your go-to place for all hockey news. So, postseason's wrapped up, Stanley Cup's been awarded, and we're diving straight into the offseason. The NHL Draft is just around the corner, coming up this Tuesday, and a lot of people don't really pay attention to the NHL Draft. They kind of, brush it off. It's a bit of a weirder draft. Kids are drafted a lot younger than other leagues. They don't declare, they just get picked, and if they don't want to go, they don't go. Lots of different leagues. You got the OHL, you got the Q, the WHL, and we got the Swedish jersey back there. And there's so many more, Russia, Finland, Austria, Germany, Czech, Slovak, all these great, fantastic leagues where all these kids come from. And so, yeah, it's a bit hard to keep an eye on, especially because you don't want to get invested in something and the kid never even makes the NHL. So a lot of people don't really know what to expect, but it's a fun event, and I thought, maybe if I went over it for you guys, you can have some knowledge going in. So I thought I'd break down my top 10 and then my risers and players to keep an eye on. So the top 10 is going to be guys who basically I have, top 10 players in the draft. This isn't a mock draft. We'll do that later. It'll be a lot of fun. These are just guys I go, these are the top 10 best players in this draft, in my opinion, from what I've watched. On this side, the risers and guys to keep an eye on are guys who are having really good seasons, had great draft years. For one reason or another, they're not in the top 10, first round maybe, and guys that I think are going to jump. Some scouts are really high on these guys, and so when you're watching the draft and you go, wow, I never heard of that guy, and he went there, you'll know why now, and it's going to be kind of interesting to keep an eye on these guys. So, yeah, this will hopefully kind of round out everyone's draft knowledge, and then you can be, the snarky friend will be like, oh, I heard of that guy before the draft. I knew he'd go there. We don't know where anyone's going to go. It's always crazy every year. But nonetheless, let's hop right into it. Coming in at number 10, the Russian goalie Askarov. Fantastic goalie. Very Bobrovsky-esque. Really good form. Really good skill. He's a bit on the lighter side. He's got a lot to work on, as all goalies do. But you don't want to slide on a goalie. Carter Hart slid in his draft. Hurt to watch. Lots of teams are going in now. And I think Askarov's going to be the same thing. There's a lot of pressure on the kid. Every time people talk about him, they critique him because a first-round goalie is huge. But make no mistake, he's a top 10 player in this draft. He's just fantastic, and he's going to be great for any team that takes him. Coming in at number 9, Anton Lundell, the Finnish center. He's really good two-way center, really smart. Doesn't put up a whole ton of points, but he has the offensive mind for it. So I think any team that takes him, they're going to make a fantastic second-line center, maybe even a Bergeron-type first-type center. He's really smart when he has the puck, really smart when he doesn't have the puck, 200-foot game. There's so much to like about Lundell's game. I would really keep an eye on him in the draft. Centers don't come easily, so I think he's going to go a lot higher than people think. I have him in my top 10 for a reason. He's just so fantastic. Coming in at number 8, the Austrian skater Marco Rossi. 5'9", but he's already 187 pounds. He's got his adult body, as some say. He's already pretty built, pretty strong, and his game reflects that. He's super skilled, really strong on his edges, hard to push off the puck. Kind of plays a little gritty, but not too much for his size, and he's just a fantastic center. I'd keep an eye on him. He puts up a ton of points. He already wants to play in the NHL next year. He said he's going to try to make it out of training camp. There's some talk that he's already kind of reached his ceiling. This is as good as he's going to get. But I think all NHL quality type players, they have that extra gear. They can go a bit further. Marco Rossi is no different. You get him on a good team, he's going to kick some butt. And I think some team that wants to make the playoffs next year, they don't want to do a rebuild, they're going to take him. They're going to throw him on their third line. He's going to be a huge contributor. Coming in at number 7, the first defenseman, and the only one on my top 10, Drysdale. Drysdale, fantastic. Great offensive talent. Great skater. Really good at everything. Not as good as other people say he is. I wouldn't say he's this fantastic, Drew Doughty type defenseman, but he's really good. He's going to be a top 4. Think about like a TJ Brody more, kind of really good if you pair him with something fantastic. Just got that really good offensive upside. Coming in at number 6, one of the best centers in the draft for his hockey IQ, Cole Perfetti. Cole Perfetti is just brilliant when he's on the puck, brilliant when he's off the puck. Really, good thinker. Not great defensively, but that's okay. He's definitely more an offensive guy, great playmaker, and he's just someone who's so smart, and he interviews well, apparently. Lots of scouts, GM say, yeah, great interview, and that's going to really help bump him up. A little bit higher than he should go. He's just such a fantastic player, though, that I don't think wherever he goes, the team will regret it. And the reason why I have him at 6 is this is such a fantastic draft. This whole draft is being compared to the 2015 draft, one of the best drafts of all time. And I think that it's going to live up to it. It's hard to say with kids, but this draft is just, from everything that I've watched personally, it's going to be a really good one. And I'm getting pretty excited just talking about it. When a kid at 6 who might have gone top 3 any other year, it's a lot to be excited about. Coming in at number 5, we got Alexander Holtz. Man, can this kid snipe. This kid is the best shot in the draft. Bit rough on the other edges. He's a good player, but not fantastic in a lot of things. But when you have the best shot in the draft, it doesn't matter. You can do anything. You're a fantastic player. And you put him on any line, he's going to score 20, 30, 40. I'm not going to even go higher than that because that's pretty elite territory. But Holtz is the kind of guy who does it. And I think if he's not picked in the top 5, and I don't think he will be, we'll go over that later when I do my mock draft, I think some teams are really going to regret it because he's just going to be such a good winger to put on a line with any center and just pot goals in. Coming in at number 4, the other Swedish winger, Lucas Raymond. Fantastic player, so smart, so clever, so tricky with the puck, really creative, really fast, good edge work. He's just a fun kid. He's so fun to watch. You want to watch a Lucas Raymond. You want your team to draft him, even if he's not, the best defensively or the hardest worker out there. He's just fun. He turns every game into such a fun event, and that's why we're here. Hockey's a fun sport. We want to have fun when we watch it. Raymond makes the game fun. The kid's unreal. Such a good talent. I think he's going to go pretty high for his point production, and he's so flashy and good. Teams are going to, really want them on their roster. Coming in at number 3, this is where things get a little controversial. I got Stützle. Tim Stützle at 3. A lot of guys have him a lot higher. I love the kid. He's fantastic. He's a great, 200-foot player, offensive dynamo. Fantastic everything he does. But I just don't think he's higher than that. I think whoever gets him is going to be extremely happy. He's definitely going to be a first-line center in the NHL, and he can play left wing too if you want him to, kind of like a Giroux. And every team wants a guy like that. So I think he's a fantastic guy, but at number 2, Quinton Byfield, far better, in my opinion. When you get a 6'5", 220-pound kid, and his best stat is his skating, that doesn't happen in the NHL very often. Last time I can remember someone so hyped up this big, strong, and fast, Lindros, maybe? He's just such a fantastic talent. He's younger, too, than everyone else in this draft. He's one of the youngest kids, and he's already this big and dominant. Whoever gets him, they're getting a fantastic center. Franchise guy you can build around. He's just such a big piece to any team's rebuild. A center who's big, tough, drives play, can skate. There's not enough good things I can say about Quinton Byfield. He's such a fantastic center. I think, would he have gone first overall last year? It's hard to say, but I think so. And number 1, the kid we've been watching for 3 years, the dynamo, the great winger, the gritty player, surprisingly, Lafreniere. Lafreniere's so fantastic. He's so tough. He's so fast, so skilled. He does everything good. Even when you're like, oh, well, his skating's not the best, but he's great. His shot's not the best. He's great. His grittiness, he's not as tough as, Byfield, but you'll get in those corners. Everything he does, he's so great at. He's going to be such a franchise talent. I don't want to use the word generational because that gets thrown around too much. We've had 3 generational kids in 4 drafts now, but I think Lafreniere, he's going to be huge. He's definitely going to be a franchise guy for the Rangers. They might even throw a C on his jersey one day, and I wouldn't blame him. Lafreniere is going to be huge for that franchise. Coming in at number 10, Hendrix Lapierre. This kid has the talent of a top 5 pick. So why is he on the risers board? He has a bit of an injury bug, and usually I wouldn't hold that against a guy. I don't really care if he gets hurt a lot in junior. I'll still throw him in my top 10. But the issue with him is it's concussions, and those are very scary. If anyone's ever had one, you know how bad it is. If anyone's ever seen someone with it, you know how bad it is. Looking back at Sidney Crosby's career, it almost ended his career, but he fought through it. And Lapierre had 3 in 2 years and played only 16 games this season. So a lot of teams are going to skip on him. They're not going to take that risk, and it's scary for the kid, but he says he's healthy, and if he can make it, he's going to be one of the best skilled guys. I just hope that he prioritizes his health before the game. That's the most important thing, is, your well-being. You shouldn't risk your body too much for hockey. We love the shot blockers, but when it comes to concussions, it's no funny matter. So I think Lapierre He's going to surprise some people where he goes with how good he is. Someone's going to take a chance on him. And I hope I see the kid succeed. He's fantastic. At number 9, we have Antonio Stranges. This kid's got wheels for days. He can skate so quickly. His edge work, it's really weird if you watch him. You never see a guy skate like that. The way he crisscrosses and, the cuts he makes. And it's just such a weird skating mechanic. And that's why he's ranked so low. He doesn't put up a ton of points, and his skating's fantastic, but also kind of not normal. He has a very odd skating mechanic, so I think he's really going to surprise people. I think some coaches are going to look at him and go, okay, if we can work on his shot and his passing and get his skating going, then he'll be a fantastic player for us in a couple of years. So keep an eye on him in the second round. I think he's going to surprise some people. Coming in at number 8, we got Jake Sanderson. Jake Sanderson went from being underrated, fantastic defenseman, to a bit overrated now. A lot of people are saying he's the next Seth Jones. Don't put that on a kid. It's not fair to him. Seth Jones played 63 minutes one game this year. Don't say he's Seth Jones. That's super harsh. But he's a fantastic two-way defenseman, super hard on the body, super great defensively. His offensive upside in the NHL, it's to be determined, He's going to go to college this year and play. I think they'll help him out a lot. But even if he doesn't develop into that great offensive guy, you can throw him, be that defensive lock. Let's say he goes to Ottawa, hypothetically. You put him with Thomas Chabot. He will anchor that blue line so strongly. So I think I have him a bit lower because I think he's going to rise from what he was ranked at the start of the season, but I don't think he's a top 10 pick. Number 7, Dawson Mercer. Kid from Newfoundland. Fantastic kid. Fun to watch. But the biggest thing about Dawson Mercer and the reason why he's rising is work ethic. Coaches love Dawson Mercer. There's been many interviews, coaches saying, best kid in the draft for working hard. Kid is just such an engine. He always works hard. You tell him to go do something, he'll do it. Jump, he'll say how high. And coaches love to hear that. NHL coaches love to hear that. Rookies sometimes may have an attitude problem. And if you have a kid who just wants to make the NHL, he's going to be fantastic, and you can work around his skills. Even if he never develops into that elite talent, having a second line winger who just grinds, hits, works hard. I think some team, that has a bit of personality issue, Buffalo, stuff like that, I think they're going to take him. He'll be a great locker room guy for sure. At number 6, Sarnia Sting Boy, Jacob Perreault, the man, the myth, the legend. Kid has a wicked shot. This player's got a snapshot like you wouldn't believe, one-timer like you wouldn't believe. Fantastic player. Super skate, he can just do everything great. It's everything else that, it's not up, not great. His shot's great, his skating's great, but coaches are a little worried about his attitude. Coaches are worried about, X, Y, and Z. But I think when you got a shot like his and you got skating like his, he's going to go top 20 in the draft for sure. And it's going to surprise some people, but, he's a fantastic player. I wouldn't be too surprised. Number 5, the best Czech player, Jan Mysak. Kid is just unreal, super fast. I've been saying that for a lot of guys. You're going to hear, kid is unreal, kid is great. But this draft is just so exciting, so much high-end talent, so many flashy guys, so many, good players that you can get excited about anyone. You look up anyone on this board on either side, you'll see some great highlights. And Jan Mysak is no surprise. The issue that separates these guys from these guys, and Jan Mysak's a purely great example of that, is what they do off the puck. Lafreniere doesn't have the puck, he's working for it. He's generating play. He's good in his own end. Mysak, he might kind of sit back and wait for it, and that might be a concern with coaches. But you can work on those always, and I think he's going to be a solid pick. Big surprise for a lot of people. Coming in at number 4, Swedish winger Noel Gunler. Great player from Sweden, really high-end skill, a bit too flashy. The offense isn't always there. He's kind of like a Niles Hoglander type player, but he's been rising in the rankings. And now with Sweden starting to play, I think he's going to jump too. Hoglander fell to second last year's draft, and I don't think people are going to make that mistake again. I think Niles Hoglander, Noel Gunler, is going to be a late first-round pick this year. He's just such a good, strong winger. People are getting a lot more, absorbed with all the skilled guys, and they're going to want to have them on their teams. We haven't really seen this before. Usually you start picking grit as the draft goes on, but if you can get an old Gunler in your lineup, I think people are going to do it. Coming in at number 3, Yeah, this guy. I'm not going to try to read that. I don't even want to butcher his name. And the reason why I have him, I haven't heard of him, and you haven't heard of him. But this kid is going to be the biggest coin flip of the draft. So many people have him not even getting drafted this year, or going 5th to 7th. But in Russia, in the KHL, some not so great health stuff was going on. So a lot of young kids are being thrown into the lineup. And he got thrown in, and he is lighting it up for a 17-year-old, just putting up goals and assists. He has, I think, 6 points in 12 games, which doesn't sound like a lot to us, but in a top league in the world, the second best league in the world, by 17-year-old, that's pretty huge. And so, to be honest, I don't know a lot about him. I haven't got a chance to watch him. I didn't even know he was going in this draft. But if he can do that much in the KHL, surely some Russian scout is going to tell his team, like, hey, if he's available in the 6th round, take him. This kid's going to be unreal. And, maybe 6 years from now we'll be like, wow, Kucherov, how did no one take him? This kid was lighting up in the KHL. So keep an eye out for that name. Whatever team he goes to, we got to get a jersey of his. Put that on the wall. Absolutely. That would look sick. Number 2, in my opinion, not a great draft pick. All these kids have potential and they're great, but Jack Quinn, he's been super highly rated, scoring 52 goals in the O this year. That's insane. Not a lot of kids do that. He did it. He's been fantastic. He also played on the 67, same team as Rossi. That's just such a good team. But I don't like his advanced stats. I know the advanced stat nerds are kind of, swarming into hockey, but it does reflect his play a lot. He's not that great off the puck, and there's a lot to be worried about. I'm kind of scared some team is going to take him in the top 15 just because he scored 52 goals, and that's very tantalizing. But how his play translates to the NHL, it's a little suspect. He's going to be an interesting one. I really hope he proves me wrong. I want to look like an idiot. If you want any more proof of me looking like an idiot, go back and watch all of our season previews. I don't think I got one of them right. Number 1, Rodin Amirov. This kid is insane. His skill, so good. He's such a flashy winger. He's like a little mini Panarin out there on the ice. He's fast. He'll blaze around opponents, go and snipe a Geno top shelf, and no one's talking about him. You look at some mock drafts. I think the Black Book, the big prospect book, had him going 8th overall, but no one talks about him. You don't see Bob McKenzie on it. No one. He's just a very underrated, skilled prospect, and I think that's going to burn a lot of teams. The NHL has this fear of drafting Russian kids. We see the whole, they get skipped in the draft, and then when they come over, teams bench them, and they go back to Russia, and it's like there's this weird, awkward tension, and there's a lot of NHL teams that don't even have any Russian players. I think the Sabres have 0 in their organization. The Canucks maybe have 2. There's a lot of fear with Russian players, especially of, the loyalty thing. I think that's kind of outdated and stupid, but that's my opinion. And I think because of that, Amirov's going to slip, and some teams are really going to regret it. I think he's going to come over in 2 years, and he's going to really blow some minds away. So that's it, guys. We made it through. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Please hit like and subscribe. Let me know your favorite prospects. Who do you have going in this draft? It's going to be exciting. There's so much to look forward to. All right, catch you guys soon.